This is some chilled end of the day yoga to get you nice and ready for a good night's sleep. If you could bring a stack of books with you or some blocks, they would be super handy. And I'll see you on the mat. We're gonna start cross-legged. And if you place your little stack of books out in front of you, we're just gonna fold onto the book. So try and keep your bum connected to the mat. You could also sit up on a little blanket here for a little ledge. But you're just gonna release yourself down onto your books. So you might shuffle them forward, shuffle them back, releasing the forehead down. And just really relax here. Release the jaw, relax the shoulders. And start to take some really deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. With each further exhale, sinking yourself down a little deeper into this position. Maybe your palms are facing up. Maybe your fingertips curling in towards the palms. Just breathe here. We've reached the end of a day, so just noticing if there's anything that's stuck with you today. Any little things that are drawing your attention away from the present. And can you just see if with your next exhale you can just breathe them away? And it might be that when you next inhale they come back in, and then just breathe them away. Let's take a couple more breaths here. Relax your forehead. Relax your seat down into the mat, into the floor. One more deep breath here. And then how slowly can you start to lift yourself? So maybe tucking chin into chest. And slowly, maybe keeping the eyes closed, rolling all the way up. And then blinking open the eyes really gently. And just release that chin back down into the chest. And then just trace your chin over to the right shoulder. And then can you trace the chin all the way back down through the center of the chest and all the way to the left shoulder. Do this a couple of times. So trace that chin in these semicircles all the way to the right. And then back down all the way to the left. One more time, each way. And bringing it all the way back through. And then just gently trace it back down to center and lift your head up. And then just turn to look over the right shoulder. Gently bring it back to center, gently looking over to the left. Gently back to center. Doing this a couple more times. Just finding a bit of focus on the neck. As I'm sure lots of us will have been stuck at a computer screen today. Or maybe in a car, in some sort of vehicle. Keeping our neck really restricted. And then the next time you bring it back through center, just stop here. Can you release the right ear towards the right shoulder? And then bring it back. Try not to lift the other shoulders at the same time. Send the left ear over to the left shoulder. Bring it back up. Now this time release your right ear to your right shoulder and stay there. And maybe you bring your right hand over the top of your head where it sits on top of your ear. And you're not pressing your head down, but it's just acting as a weight to go a little bit deeper with the stretch. You could send your left fingertips out to the side to feel this really long line all the way down from your left ear to your left fingertips. Lovely. And then gently release your right ear. Bring your head back to center, take it back over to the left. And then that left hand sits on top of the right ear. Again, not pressing, just a little bit of weight. Just to ease it a little further. Right fingertips out to the side. Feel that long line between right fingertips and left hand. Lovely. And then gently release the hand, bring it up to center. Reach both arms all the way up. Can you clasp the hands, pressing the palms up towards the ceiling? And can you reach your shoulders all the way up to your ears and then release them back and down, still pressing those palms up above you? And then stretch the arms out as wide as you can, reaching them all the way back, palms facing towards each other. Grab a hold opposite thumb on top, clasping the hands behind your back this time. Roll the shoulders back, lift the chest. If you can't grab a hold of those hands or it doesn't feel so comfortable, just bring the hands towards each other. So palms facing each other, roll those shoulders back, shoulder blades back. Take one more breath here. And then release the hands. And we're going to come over to all fours. So gently shifting those books or blocks, if you're using blocks instead, out of the way. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. And let's just move through a couple of cat-cows. Lowering the belly, rolling the shoulders back as you inhale, and then exhaling to press through the hands as the spine curves up towards the ceiling. Inhaling to drop belly, roll shoulders back, lift the chest. Exhale, press through the hands, spine up towards the ceiling. One more time each way. Inhaling, dropping belly, rolling shoulders back, lifting head. Exhaling to press up through the hands, spine up towards the ceiling. And then just come back through center. We're going to take the right toes back behind us. So toes touching the ground, heel pressing back towards the back of the room. Now, option for a bit of a wrist stretch, but only do this if it feels comfortable. Turn the right fingers back towards you. Yeah, it's quite the wrist stretch. Okay, so your option is to keep both hands the same way. Yes. And then, can you move backwards and forwards? Just stretching. So you might have a nice big wrist stretch here and heel stretch. Nice. Just take it a couple more times each way. And then release that right hand if the fingers were turned back towards the toes. We're going to take this left foot over to the side, knee stays in the same place, and ground that right foot, so toes facing the side of the mat. And then we're reaching the right arm up to come into this like side plank variation. Can you reach that right arm overhead? Can you press forward with the hips? But also this right hip is kind of coming up and curving round. Really opening up through the body. Nice. Deep breath here. Now really gently, can you start to come up to a T shape here? So keeping your legs in the same position. And then turn those right toes towards the back of the mat. Bend into this knee. And we're bringing our right forearm to the thigh, left arm overhead for a kind of kneeling side angle. Make sure that those toes are pointing in the same way as the knee, and the knee is kind of moving out towards the little toe side of the foot so it's not caving in. And reach that left arm overhead. We're kind of pressing that left hip open to the side, trying to kind of get this whole part of your torso, of your ribs facing towards the ceiling. So they're really stretching up. And then gently circle the hands back down to the mat. Bring the right knee alongside the left. Both feet now facing towards the back, all fours. And let's just take that over to the other side. So left foot back behind you, pressing the heel back behind you. If you did it on the other side, turning those left fingers back for that wrist stretch, you can always keep all 10 fingers facing forward. And then just taking it forwards and back. Finding some stretching through the body. Trying to do a big overall stretch today, because I find that the kind of best thing to take me into a good night's sleep is really working every part of the body, giving it a bit of time. And then if those left fingers are facing back towards your toes, just place them back. All 10 fingers facing forward. This right foot is coming out to the side. We're grounding that back foot and then lifting that left arm all the way up and over. Pressing forward with the hips and kind of bringing this top hip up and over. Reaching that left arm all the way. Finding a lovely stretch here. Maybe you get it all kind of down through the side body. Can you press into that back foot? So make sure that the sole of the foot is kind of connected to the mat, to the floor. And then we're going to bring ourselves up to that T shape. Turn the left toes to the back of the mat. We start to bend the knee. My dirty little feet, I'm so sorry. Left forearm to the thigh. We're coming into this kneeling side angle. Right arm reaches over, making sure that that knee is pointing in the same way as the toes and then slightly out in the direction of the little toes. So it's not caving in. Reaching that right arm over, rolling this right shoulder back. And then really gently circling the hands all the way back to the front. Just bringing knees together, all fours position. And then taking the hands slightly in front of the shoulders. First fingers facing forward. Tuck those toes and press the hips all the way back. Downward facing dog. We're just taking a bit of time here, so you can always drop the knees and find a child's pose if this gets too much. But taking some little steps through the legs, bending each knee one at a time, pressing the hips high, and then maybe finding some stillness. Pressing your tummy, your chest back towards your shins. Maybe you take a big bend in the knees and lay your belly over your thighs and kind of feel how that really hinges the hips, presses the bum up. One more deep breath here. And then we're going to lower the knees as wide as the mat and send the bum back towards the heels for a child's pose. Reach those arms forward. And then release maybe the forehead down towards the mat. You could always grab a hold of one of those books and place it underneath your forehead. Just giving yourself a little bit of height. Especially if it doesn't feel comfy, that forehead reaching towards the ground. Can you send your bum back towards your heels? And breathe. And then gently start to look up towards your fingertips. Shift that book, that block out of the way. And we're coming all the way back up to a downward facing dog. So tucking your toes, those hands are in front of your shoulders, lift it all the way up. And that right foot is either going to reach up towards the ceiling and then step through between the hands or step straight through. But can you try and take your time, whether you're stepping it through from the lift, from the three-legged dog or not. And then lay that left knee down on the mat. And we're in a lunge shape here, and you might find it nice to have some blocks underneath your hands here to give you a little bit of height. So whatever you've got, it might be nice just to give a little bit of a lift. And can you really kind of take some time in this. Stack that knee over the heel. Fold into this thigh for a moment. Let yourself heavy everything down in the direction of the floor. And then maybe lifting yourself up slightly, rolling the shoulders back. And then we're just going to really gently start to straighten this front leg. You might bring books back with you if you did have them. Place your hands on them. Maybe these right toes come towards you. I've got a big old bend in the knee because for a lot of us that will feel a lot more comfortable. But can you try and roll the shoulders back and lift the chest a little? So ideally, if you've got even more blocks, even more books, and you can stack and stack and stack, it's so much better for your body to be lifted and to be pressing back with the bum, finding this really long spine rather than kind of curled up, crouching over it. And then we're just going to gently bend forward through the knee again. Shift any books, any blocks out of the way and snuggle this right foot. It's going to travel across to the left side of the mat behind the left wrist as we find a pigeon. Now that might be too intense, so your right foot might come a lot closer into the thigh, but see how you go. Can you tuck those back toes, reach that leg back and then untuck the toes once more? And just bring your hands around by your knees. Again, books, blocks, super useful here to kind of press your hands into to give you a bit of a lift. And then maybe laying yourself long. And I say maybe a lot because it's your decision. It really is. I found this really difficult with yoga when I first started because I wanted a definitive answer for everything. I was like, I want to know that this is what I'm doing now, and if I want it to be harder and if I'm getting better, then I do it this way and I do it this way, and that's how it works. And so I find it really difficult in yoga with people saying, do what your body wants. I was like, I don't know what that is. Surely the harder the better, right? And so the reason I say maybe a lot is because everything is kind of a choice. Everything will feel slightly different for each person. So when I do say maybe, it is literally an option. It's something that you could do. It's something that you might not do. It might be a way that your body looks. It might not be. So yeah, in case that's cropping up in your mind, just take one more breath here. And then slowly start to walk your hands back beside you. You're going to tuck your back toes, lift your back leg, and use that power. So press into your hands to lift that right leg all the way back, downward facing dog. Just take a couple of steps, notice any differences in the right and the left leg. And then lift the left leg or step it straight through, but take your time, whatever you're doing. Moving through as slowly as you can. Any blocks, any books that are coming along for the ride. Shuffle that foot forward to make sure that knee is stacked on top of the heel, and fold yourself for a minute, folding over your thigh. And then maybe finding a little lift, rolling the shoulders back, but sinking the hips still. And then gently lengthening that front leg, maybe bringing books, blocks back with you, keeping that lift and that straight spine. Bends in legs, welcome. Can you bring the little toes, if you've got your feet, your toes up and back towards you, can you bring your little toes round a little further? Even it out. And then bend through the knee once more. We're going to bring that right foot across the mat, ready for pigeon on the other side. Laying the knee to the floor. Look back towards that back foot, tuck the toes, reach that leg back a little further, and then untuck. And just take a moment here, upright, finding some space, rolling those shoulders back. Noticing what the legs feel like, what the hips feel like, if there's any adjustments, if you want to move that foot forward a little or bring it a little closer back towards the body. And then laying yourself down. Could be to forearms, could be completely laying yourself out long. Keeping the breaths slow. It's one of the biggest signals to our body that things are now calm and that we're kind of peeling things back for the day, chilling things out, heading towards sleep. Is finding much longer, deeper breaths. Typically when we're anxious, I'm sure you felt it, when you're worried about something and your heart is racing, you feel like your breaths are so quick and speedy. It's really hard then for the body to turn off, because also it's doing lots more work as well, like quicker breaths, more blood pumping around the body, more things happening in all of the different systems. So slowing this breath, calming it down, sends those signals to the body that it's time for rest. And then gently starting to walk your hands back towards the foot, tuck those back toes, lift the back leg, and then use the hands to press yourself back, downward facing dog. Just taking some little walks with the legs. And then we're going to come through to a seat. So just step your feet in. Let's lay the legs out. Right leg out long. Left sole of the foot into the inside of the thigh. You're going to reach your arms all the way up. Find length here first. We're focusing on that length. So let's start as we mean to go on. Find that length and then send your bum back. Keep the length. Keep thinking about reaching forward, as far forward as you possibly can. That chest that wants to reach your shin, your toes. Reaching it forward. Taking some breaths here. Your blocks, your books, they might come with you. Give you that length through the arms. It's just a massive misconception, I think, when it comes to blocks, because I spent probably the first 4 years of practicing yoga with no blocks and no intention of using blocks. And now, goodness me, I use them in everything that I do. Because it allows you to open more, it allows you to stretch, it allows you to get into poses more deeply. Tuck the chin into the chest and just gently bring yourself up. And we're just going to take this front leg, this right leg, so that the knee is in line with your left sole of your foot. So almost like a kind of like little mermaid sitting on a rock. Just kind of sitting to the side slightly. And then we're going to take the left hand towards the right knee, right hand behind you, and just find a little twist here. Sitting up as tall as you can. Finding that length again, and then maybe twisting it round. Take one more breath. And then gently bring your hands all the way round to the other side. You press that left hand down into the mat and you're just going to lift your hips. Reaching that right arm back behind you, pressing the hips high. Finding a little lift here. And then sit it all the way back down. And take your legs out. Give them a little bit of a shake. And then let's take it to the other side. So, left leg out long, right sole of the foot to the inside of the left thigh. Find your length here. Reach those arms all the way up and see if you can keep this length as you send the bum back, as you fold, keeping the length as much as you can. Really lifting that chest up and forward. Deep breaths here. keep reaching it forward. It might be on the inhale that you almost come out of it slightly to lift yourself, reminding yourself to lift. And then as you exhale, you get a little deeper. And make sure that you're twisting over this leg. So you're not kind of between the legs. There's like a bit of a twist as you go over. Let's take one more breath here. And then gently bring yourself all the way up. Take that left knee to the right sole of the foot. We're going to find that strange little twist again. So taking right hand to outside of left knee, left fingertips behind, and finding a twist. Sitting up and tall and twisting to the side. Trying to keep yourself, because you might feel unbalanced here, that left bum wants to kind of lift up off the floor. So can you try and keep grounded and central as you twist? And then gently bring it back through center. Right hand comes to the floor beside you as you reach your hips, left arm up and stretch it out. I love this stretch. Feels so good in my body. So just check in with how it feels for you. And gently releasing the bum all the way down. And let's just take one more fold before we completely go down. Folds are great for getting us chilled, encouraging us to breathe deeper, and just to kind of like peace out, get ready for quietness. So can you keep your legs bent here? Just make sure that your bum is kind of really firmly to the ground. Grab a hold of the little toe side of your feet. So your chest is really pressing down onto your thighs here. And then you'll really gently keep the connection between your chest and your thighs as you start to send the heels out. And only go as far as you can keep that connection. You're still pressing that bum back. And then when you're there, stay there. Keep a little rise in the chest, rolling those shoulders back. And just finding this fold. Encouraging the body to peace out. We've got 3 more breaths here. So maybe you slide those heels, see if you can keep that connection with your belly and your thighs. Keep the rise in the chest. 2 more breaths. And then a final breath here. And then tuck chin into chest and gently roll yourself up. Now we're going to head down to the floor. Bring your blocks, books with you so that they're within reaching distance. And you're just going to lower yourself down onto your back with the soles of the feet to the mat. And just make sure that you are kind of, when you reach down, you can feel your heels. Your knees are stacked on top of your hips. Just making sure that you're kind of in the right space. And we're going to find a restorative bridge. So you might start with one of your stack of books here. We're going to lift the hips and underneath the sacrum, so that big flat bit just above your bum, you're going to place your books. I would encourage you spine of book facing towards the head. So I feel like it ruins the books less. You don't want all those pages getting caught up, okay? Take care, book care, #1 priority. And so it might be that you stay here. You might start stacking books under and increasing the height, but just kind of check in where you are. I kind of don't want it to be super stretchy. Just finding a position that feels like there's a lift of the hips. You might snuggle your shoulders underneath you. You might keep your hands connected to your belly or lay them down beside you. And can you just release the bum? because it's probably, while it's been lifting to slide the books underneath you, it's probably anticipating the stretch, what is the word that I'm looking for? The activity that it needs to do. Can you tell it that it's okay to release and relax? And maybe you close down the eyes here too. And just start to breathe more deeply. If your hands are connected to your body, maybe you can feel the breath moving through the belly, through the chest. Take one more breath here. And then move so slowly. You're just gently lifting your hips and sliding those books out from underneath you. And then lay your left leg out long, hug your right knee into the chest and really hug it in towards you. And then we're going to send this right arm out to the side. Left hand comes over that knee and takes it over to the left. So finding a twist here. Now you could, kind of depending on where your body is, you could stack some books, blocks underneath this right knee. Now it might be that it's really hovering quite far off the ground, so actually there's not really going to be much help, but it might be that you can keep stacking books and find a little bit of a platform for that knee. So just let it release a little more. Maybe you gaze over your right fingertips. And just breathe here. Taking a couple more breaths. And then gently bringing your knee back through center. Don't know if you can hear the fly buzzing around me, but if you've also got a fly buzzing around you, keep it chill. It's okay. The irritating noise will go. Just give your ankle some rolls here. So this is still the right knee hugged into the chest. Both ways. And then you can release that right leg out long. And we're going to bring left knee into the chest. Hug it in. Really bring it in close. And then left arm goes out to the side. Knee comes across the body. You might move that stack of books. Or if you've got a whole library, you might have been using different books all along. You're going to end up at the end of this practice, if you leave the books in the place where we were using them, just surrounded by a castle of books. I mean, there are much worse things to be surrounded by. Maybe you're gazing back over those left fingertips. Just easing your body into the stretch on this side. You've got 3 more breaths here in your twist. So maybe you're really heavying those shoulders down into the mat. Sending that gaze over left fingertips, feeling the space all up and down the body. As things twist, as things open. And then gently bring that knee all the way back into the chest. And just take some little circles with the ankle. One way, and then the other. And then you're going to release that leg long. Release your hands out to the side, snuggle your shoulders underneath you, and find your Shavasana. If you're super close to the time that you're going to be going to bed, maybe you shift it to your bed. You let yourself drift off. But whether you are going straight to bed or you're here just for a moment, can you really be here for a moment? Close down the eyes, use that breath to bring you into the present. If your mind is trying to skip forward or back, focus on that breath. This is where I'm going to leave you, but stay in this Shavasana for as long as you have got. I hope you have a lovely night's sleep. Please subscribe, and all of those lovely comments and things would be great. But yeah, just have a great sleep.